Welcome to HRO Today's Leadership Q&A podcast series. I'm Maggie Mancini, Associate and Online Editor at HRO Today. As AI adoption continues to expand, HR leaders are finding ways to leverage the technology to best suit the unique needs of their organization, improve productivity, and enhance talent retention. I'm here today with Michaela Gitto, Human Resources Director at Century Equipment, a manufacturing company celebrating its 100th year of service in 2025. In this episode, we talk about how Century has deployed AI in its talent sourcing process and how the use of AI has influenced the organization's ability to attract and retain top talent. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Just to get started, how is Century using AI within its hiring process?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would say we're using it a little bit here and there. For example, mostly in our sourcing tools. So we use LinkedIn Recruiter as an example as one of our sourcing tools. And so they have baked in an AI component to their tool so that I can go in and say, please find me an engineering manager with 5 years of experience. And it auto sets all my filters, finds some ideal candidates for me in that way. But that's from that point on, then we are taking it from there and reading all the profiles and making judgments on if we think that person would be a fit for the role. And additionally, we don't really use AI in the resume screening. I know that's been a hot topic with a lot of organizations using that. It's debatable how reliable that is, but we at this point just don't have such a high influx of resumes that we need an AI screening tool. I would love for that to be a problem, that I have so many resumes to consider that I need to use an AI tool. But at this point, that's just not what we're experiencing. And also personally, while I think it's a really great tool to use and it's a great thing to have in the arsenal, I also do think that there's still no substitute for being able to read someone's resume and look at their background and make a personal judgment as to if you think they'd be a fit for a role. Because I do think that, of course, there's definitely things to start with as far as education or experience. That's a great formula that you could plug into AI and at least filter some things down. But I do think that people are complex and there's a lot more that goes into making someone successful in a role than just education or experience. So I do think it's a tool, but certainly not something that I personally would want to play a big role in our hiring process.
How has the implementation of AI tools helped or hindered Century's ability to attract and retain talent?
Yeah, so I would say currently we are still in the early stages of pursuing AI projects. I think it's definitely something that's top of mind for organization and something that's a priority. But I think really the way that we're looking at it is how can we implement AI projects that will help our employees expedite more manual and less meaningful work so that they can spend their time on more value add tasks, which then hopefully will have the increased efficiency in their role, but also an increased job satisfaction because they're not spending all this time in manually update a spreadsheet or something like that. Maybe they're spending 40% of time on that. That's not very meaningful work. So how can we use AI again as a tool to expedite that so that they can actually spend their time and judgment on the things that are really going to be value add, or then allow them to take on additional responsibilities that maybe previously they didn't have the bandwidth for. So like I said, we're still in the early stages of that, but I do really think as we're able to implement some of those projects, I really foresee an increased higher job satisfaction for our employees.
So as Century begins celebrating its 100th anniversary, what other talent-related challenges is the HR team facing? And what steps is the company taking to address and eliminate those challenges?
Yeah, so I think kind of similar to our conversation around AI, I think one of the biggest challenges that we face is how do we do more and scale the business without having to hire at the same rate? So it's hard to find people in a variety of different roles, and especially in our organization, we have to hire a lot of technical expertise and mechanical expertise and things that are just becoming just harder and harder to find in the workforce today. And so we just really want to make sure that we are making sure that we're finding people, but then we can maximize, like I said before, maximize what they can contribute. And so I think that if we can do that, then obviously it's really profitable to our business because then we can have more, we have higher profit, we can have people do more with not having to continue to add people. I think another thing is managing change is really top of mind for us right now and is a big challenge. Obviously, our world is moving faster than it ever has before. And then for us, our business specifically, we have grown a little over 40% in the last few years, and we are looking to continue on that trajectory. And so there's a lot happening. There's a lot of change, and it's challenging to stay on top of it. So one thing that we're doing to really stay ahead of that is a few different things, but one of them is we implemented a pulse survey tool called Engage 360. And that allows us to text or email one question to all of our employees a week. And so that's just a 1 to 5 scale. It allows for optional comments. It's totally anonymous, but that just allows us to get more information more timely. So that allows us to be more agile too and to pivot and respond to things that are currently happening in the organization versus waiting for like an annual performance review or some sort of meeting with a manager that's just at a less frequent cadence or something like that. So that's been really helpful. Additionally, myself and some others in the organization are pursuing certification and training in ProSci, which is a change management method. And so we're looking to implement that in a more formal process in our organization so that people just have a structure and just some things to follow so that we can implement and be better at managing change across the organization.
And just as we wrap up, is there anything else that you'd like to add about Century's talent or culture that I haven't asked you about?
I think overall, as an organization, we just have a lot of really great ideas and a high level of collaboration. I think that really speaks to the fact that we're an employee owned organization. And so that just really goes back to how I was saying we want to do more without having to add headcount because as an employee owned organization, at the end of the day, all of our employees are a part owner and they have a stake. So if the company is more profitable, our employees are more successful and we can allow them to set themselves up for a better retirement and more financial success down the road. So it's certainly not a selfish mission that we're on to be more profitable with less, but it's something that really is going to make all of our employee owners more successful in the long run.
Thank you again, Michaela, for taking the time to join us. Until next time, I'm Maggie Mancini, and I'll see you in the next episode of HRO Today's Leadership Q&A podcast series.